What's up, guys? My name is Froshi, a professional coach in the NAL, and today we're going to be discussing on how we can play Maestro. So getting right into it, we're going to talk about the loadout. So first thing, the primary weapon, we're using the Alda 5.56. It's probably, at least from an anchoring sense, maybe everyone want to roam with this gun. It's probably the best gun on defense for sure. And secondary weapon, again, I said this before, I think I said this in the Fender video. If you ever have an option for a secondary shotgun or shotgun pistol, you're always going to take it. So he has the bailiff, so we're going to go with that. Oh, and I kind of forgot attachments for the Alda. Sight is, of course, always preference. Most people I know, and including myself, we use hollow. I like flash hider a lot on this gun. I believe most pros use flash hider on this weapon, but of course you can experiment, do your thing. I'll just avoid suppressor, and there's only one grip option, which is a vertical grip. Now for the secondary gadget, it gets a little more interesting because we do have three options. Not every operator has three options. We have impacts, barbed wire, and observation blockers. Now, most of the time I find myself bringing impacts, but it is very situational. So if you lack some type of passive intel, if your team doesn't have like a Legion or a Malusi, sorry, or Fenrir or anything like that, or Ella, barbed wire is going to be really nice. I like impacts because it makes sight setup a lot easier. You can impact trick if you know what that is, depending on the site. There's certain sites where you can open up angles for your cameras. We'll get into that on Cafe. And overall, impacts are usually the most versatile. They're good for a lot of different situations, just to even have in your pocket. And observation blockers, if your team has a bunch of rotate utility, maybe an impact or two. If your team has Malusi and Fenrir, and you want to, use the obs blockers, just make sure they have a purpose. So, like, it's not like obs blockers are terrible. They just need to have a purpose. You need to know what you want to do with the obs blockers before you take them. Whereas barbed wire and impact grenade, you can kind of go a little bit looser with it. So that will do it for the loadout. We're going to get into some examples right away and talk about his play style. So I'll see you there. So first up, we're going to get to some playstyle advice before we get into some setup examples for Maestro. So first off, we're talking about a 3 armor, 1 speed defender here. We're going to be using him as a sight anchor, of course. With that speed, combined with his kit, his weapon, and his 3 bulletproof cameras that we'll get into, his actual kit is really centered around being a sight anchor, and he's very, very good at it. He brings such a massive amount of utility that these hackers have to worry about, as well as a really good weapon that he's very, very perfect for holding down the site. So we're going to be playing on the site with this operator pretty much all the time. To get into his cameras and how they work, so he gets 3 of these evil eye cameras. If we just hop on it, we see that it looks a lot like a bulletproof. It can move around. I believe this is 180 degrees. Is that math? I hope so. Yeah, it can move around, and you'll see it looks like a bulletproof camera because it has very similar properties, and that being that it can see through smokes. So and see through Sens's wall as well. So because it can see through smokes, it makes it really worrying for attackers, as well as we see that right here, it tells me right click to open. What does that mean? So when I open, this glass on the camera will retract, and it'll reveal a laser. This laser has unlimited range, does 5 damage per tick, and what it adds is a layer of, I could deny this plant with a Maestro cam. If you're planting under a smoke or whatever it may be, I can deny this plant. So it makes it a little bit extra worrying for attackers. I have only, it's rare for me to see a Maestro deny a plant, but it's really good in clutch situations. If you're in a 1v1 and you're safe, outside of the site, if you're somewhere far away, the guy can't kill you, and he's trying to plant in the site, and you activate this Maestro cam, it gives him a lot to worry about, as well as it's good for destroying utility like drones, especially mainly drones is the big one. It's very rare to destroy anything else, but drones is a very big deal. Now, how does this camera get destroyed? So I mentioned it's bulletproof. It is until this glass is retracted. So if the laser is revealed, then this glass retracts, it can get shot. Other things that reveal the laser, so Twitch drones and EMP grenades will disable the camera, cause it to not be able to see anything, and open it slightly, allowing it to be shot. So tip for that is, if you see a Twitch drone coming and you're not able to destroy it with the laser, flick your drone up. Or if you see an EMP, like a attached EMP rolling on the ground, flick your drone up or flick your camera up, and it's what's going to do is when it gets disabled, it's going to leave it in this spot, and they're not even going to be able to see the soft part of the camera, which is really good. Now, another thing with this operator, so Brava will hack his cameras, which obviously is not ideal, and any explosion will destroy this camera, which is pretty default, as well as Maverick's torch and Sledge's hammer will destroy this camera as well. So to get straight into it, I picked this site for a reason. We're going to be, one of our example sites is Consulate Garage. It might be my favorite site to play this operator. I love playing this operator on the site. So we're just going to be talking about camera setups and talking about how I'd play it so we can get a better understanding of how Maestro is played. So the first, I definitely want to get a camera somewhere in this area. So camera number 1 is on top of here and right here. So this isn't as hidden, but this camera just gives me a lot of good site info. It lets me see the walk-in really clearly. It also lets me see the walk-in for yellow stairs really well. But another really good camera for this site is behind this red car, like somewhere around here. This one's a lot more annoying to destroy. It just doesn't see as much. But you can still see the walk-in, and it's really good for trying to deny plant. If someone's trying to walk in, you just give them a lot to worry about. You can even place it like, it's probably better to place it within this corner. Can I destroy these boxes? You can if you whack at it enough. And again, that's even better. You'll see more that way. So that's sort of section 1. I placed a camera in. I didn't need to pick that up, but I did anyway. Next one is I'm going to try and place a cam somewhere in this area to see the yellow door and to see the garage door. That's sort of the purpose of this camera we're trying to place. So I like this one a lot. And it does exactly what I said it wanted to do. It sees the sort of front end of the site. It sees the garage breach. It'll see the yellow door, and it's an extra bit of site intel. I like that one a lot. Now, just go ahead. We're going to make these rotates really quick. These are just 2 default rotates for Consulate, and the reason we're making them is because they'll be important for this next camera I'm going to talk about for the A site, or centered around the A site. And we see the bailiff going to work, and that's why we bring it. So if you're playing Maestro and you want to place this camera we're going to talk about, just pop open like this extra bit on the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to hop on this counter. We're going to place the evil eye on this fridge. And if we look at it, it's going to see there's a hatch that looks right to where I'm shooting. I'll walk over. For those of you who aren't familiar with the map and aren't sure what I'm talking about, there's a hatch right here. Attackers like to drop this hatch, or this obviously is an important. This whole like back end area of the site is very important. So having a camera that sees that sort of area is really nice, and you don't have to expose yourself. That does it for Consulate. We're going to hop onto Cafe, get into another example. I'll see you there. So next up, we're here on Cafe, and Cafe Cocktail specifically, is one of my favorite sites to play Maestro. So we're going to get straight into it with the cameras and how we set ourselves up with the cameras. Camera number 1, remember I talked about bringing impacts? This is one of the situations where if you're solo queuing or none of your teammates are bringing impacts, impacts are really good. Why, you ask me? If you impact this door, not this door, sorry, this little bar, it'll open up. Be like, okay, why does that matter? We go ahead, we open holes on this wall. We place the camera on this cocktail bar here. And I can see the planter here. It's actually better. I think I made the holes a little low. I'll open this wall up a little exaggerated to make it a little bit more obvious on what I'm talking about. And I can literally see anyone trying to plant. So this is a very common plant spot. If you ever played Cafe, people like to get under this desk. Well, impacting the desk kind of makes it impossible. So let's say they're trying to tuck under this desk. I can see myself. So see, I just did damage to myself. So if I was planting the diffuser, I'd even be less hidden because I'd be outstretched. So that's cam number 1. Cam number 2 is going to be on either one of these 2 pillars. Probably this pillar is a little bit better. They both kind of do the same thing. They're just sight intel. So they're just extra sight intel. This one can see, anyone crossing through freezer. So this is really good for clutch situations. If you get into something like that, it can call the skylight drop, but you're probably going to hear that anyway. But it's useful either way. This one's just good sight intel as a whole. Then last I like this camera a lot. I think it's underrated. Is it going to be, you know, staying up the whole round? No, but I still think it's good. I like placing one literally on this floor or just somewhere in cigar or piano, as it's called, or on this wall. So if we look at it on the floor, it's actually look at their perspectives. So this one, again, it's literally just to get intel on what's going on. This one will see the feet of anyone going into a cigar shop. And then this one's also good as well. It's just good. There's a very high attacker traffic spot, so it's really good to have a camera here. I like having a camera here, even if it's not up the whole round. But as you can see, Maestro is really strong here. Now, how would I sort of set myself up on the site? Well, where I'm usually playing with this wall reinforced, this is pretty easy. You're just going to play in the cocktail lounge itself. You're going to sit on this bar. You are going to, you know, this is a really good angle to hold. I suck mechanically. This is really good. You have all, you can use the skylight, you can use the rotate, you can use whatever you want to hold a bunch of angles. His gun makes it really great to just pre-fire the living crap out of anything, pretty much. And you can use your cameras to your advantage. Again, this camera, one of the strongest cameras in the game. All right, to finish off the video, we're going to go on to Clubhouse. I'll see you there. Armory on Clubhouse. Again, one of my favorite sites to play Maestro. So just, again, straight into it. We're going to get straight into the camps. First one is on this jukebox. We are going to get a vault prompt right around here. We are going to vault. We are going to place this camera. It doesn't matter what side I place it on. I'm going to place this camera all the way up at the top of church, and it's going to see church. Very simple. We're going to see anyone dropping down from moto. We're going to see anyone walking in the breach. Very, very good. It denies this coolest plant really well and provides really, really good site intel. Next up, these next two cams are very, very simple, but sometimes simple is what gets the job done. This next cam, they're both going to be focused on armory, this back armory, because it's very important to have intel there. This is very good because, again, we see the blue, we see the back armory. This is very, very good. I like it a lot. Again, simple but effective. Even I think if you want to place it a little bit to the right, you're going to see dirt, the walk-in through dirt a little bit better. Yeah, you do. And it does the same job. Got a notification about that. I apologize. Got some, I think that's a YouTube notification I just got. Then the next one, again, very, very simple. Just freaking kicked me out for a YouTube notification. Very, very simple. This next one, again, back armory. You're just giving people something to worry about. They're going to have two cameras staring at them, and you're still going to have that moto cam. That's why Maestro, like, this buff is really, really nice because you just got a third of these camera. Like, you're dropping down this hash. You're getting ready to plant. You've got two cams staring at you. They drone the site. They see that there's two cams. They're going to have to find a way to deal with at least one of them. Even if they deal with the other one, you're still going to have another one. So it's very, very, very good because it just gives the attackers a lot to worry about, which is why I like Maestro so much. It's just a lot of utility that attackers have to deal with, or they're going to be at a disadvantage for it. Something I haven't mentioned yet to this video, don't be hyper focused on being on your cameras in the late round. The same thing applies to Echo. If it's a 2v2, man, and you've got 3 dead teammates, don't be sitting in a corner on your camera not holding anything. Properly be on, like, maybe flip through occasionally, but don't just like hard stick your cameras. Being gun up is really important. So if there's like 30 seconds left, your gun should probably be up again, unless you're checking, like flicking a camera quickly and you're solo queuing. But if you're not solo queuing, and you have someone, you know, you have a duo or a trio, tell them to get their butts on the cameras so you can stay gun up and you can be, and they can give you the intel. Or I guess trust your randoms, which is always really risky. But either way, just don't be hyper focused on being on your cameras in the late round unless you have very hard intel from your teammates that you can deny the plant. You're in a safe spot. But don't, just be super unaware of what's going on in front of you to be on your cameras. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. If you're new here, subscribe. If you learned something, I'd really appreciate a like. Helps me a ton. And leave a comment on what operator you want to see next. I read every comment. I respond to every comment. I love reading them. So thanks a ton, guys. Thank you for getting the Solos video to 5,000 views. That's crazy. And the Fenrir video to over 1,000 views. That's also really great. Have a great day, guys. Peace out.